To carry the company for the next 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So
it's not necessarily age so much as it's like Solo Sikoa is like 30.
Yeah, you could pick Roman Reigns, but I wouldn't want to pick Roman Reigns for the next 5 to 10 years. That's boring.
No, not for 5 to 10.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't have to be someone from NXT. Honestly, the only person in NXT that might fit that bill is Breakker anyway. Oh. That's like for sure a pillar for the next 5 to 10 years.
Joe Gacy got that creepy thing about him. But everyone's trying to compare him to Bray Wyatt already. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't think he's big enough, like, as far as, like, stature. Maybe if he was a manager role and stayed at that, I think that could work, but...
Is Bray a pillar?
I mean, he took a break. Think about it. He probably don't have as much wear and tear on his body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave his body time to heal. I'll say that
He's
much.
also... I mean, I don't say he doesn't do much in the ring, but, like, he's not like a...
He's not like
he's not really hurting himself. Yeah, I mean, he's not putting a whole lot of work in, like putting work in. I would say, but like he's not.
You know the funny thing? What's that? The last match he had was with Randy Orton, and the set yourself on fire match, something like that.
Oh yeah.
So the one time he did do like the crazy match,
right? I mean, that's true. He went away for you, got hurt, right? Like I'm just saying, he's not like he's not wrestling like Top Dollar and going over the top rope and
that
athletic cruiserweight kind of stuff.
Top Dollar clip. Like when he clipped that top rope, the look on Top Dollar's face was like, "What the hell just happened?" That was not supposed to go like.
Who was it? Gallows? It was only who was. Who did he jump onto?
I believe it was Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah,
they just had to fall.
You can see Gallows sprints forward. I think it was Gallows. He like sprints forward so that he can like brush Top Dollar's leg and then fall over. Like it, dude. It's honestly one of my biggest gripes. It's one of my gripes with like wrestling and stuff today. Like, dude, like to me, if a dude is shooting for that,
and he misses,
don't sell just stand there. I'm not selling that. Don't run up to get hit by it.
Not even just stand there, but if he miss, go attack him.
Go attack him.
Let him take the offensive, advantage back over.
Yes. But this is why not everybody should be doing tope suicidas.
Well,
right? You don't need that.
We don't need it. But I mean, all right, for Top Dollar, right? Think about it. You have Omos. You have I forgot the Indian dude name. Oh my god, I forgot his name, but he's a beast too. You got Walter. You got Sheamus. You got a lot of big guys, right? How can I separate myself?
Well, he separated himself,
right.
He separated himself.
Right.
He separated his hip flexor. That's what he did.
He did.
He got dislocated hip.
He finished the match.
He broke his hip.
I will give him that. He finished the match. But it's like everyone's Braun Strowman. Omos is Braun Strowman. All of our big men are like the big, powerful, I'm the giant here. But how many are really separating themselves from the pack? Outside of Omos being a little taller, Braun Strowman power is undeniable. But if you're a big man, how can you stand out as a big man?
But that's why you don't have a lot of big men like that. Like that's why you don't have 4 Braun Strowmans, right? Like you've got Strowman.
Has it always been like that though? We've always had that many. We always had Kane. We always had Kane, Undertaker.
Yeah, but Undertaker wasn't your traditional big man.
He stood out.
He might be one of the best big men ever, but he wasn't your traditional. I guess you're right. We always have big men. We don't have giants. You have 1 or 2 giants.
Right.
I think that's where because you've got Omos as a giant.
That's it. He's really the only giant.
He's the only giant.
Braun's like 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah, but he gets booked he doesn't get booked like a giant. I guess
they try to book him like a giant.
Yeah.
He faces the giant, and then it's like, you are not that.
He's not that big.
But I mean, WWE. I mean, it's been the land of the giants. It's always been.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
You've always. I mean, look at Drew McIntyre. He's 6'8". He just doesn't move like a 6'8" guy.
That's fair.
Huge guy. So if I'm Top Dollar and you're booking me as a strongman, I can't look like Drew McIntyre. For when I don't look like Drew McIntyre, he like Superman, man. And I can't do the Omos. I can still show my power, but how now can I separate myself and like really stand out and make the crowd want to see me on a night-to-night basis? That's hard to do.
I think maybe it's unpopular, but I'm just not. I just don't think he's very entertaining
in the ring.
I don't think Hit Row is. They don't really do it for me. Like they just.
I like it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate them, but they just. I think it's to your point. Really, it's like they don't do anything
in the ring.
I think that really stands out. That
Hit Row for me is. I like the energy when the music come on, when they come out, they command the spotlight. Now we have to transition that to in the ring. Excuse me. And how can you command the spotlight in the ring? When Top Dollar's doing his lifting 2 guys up at once, 3 guys up at once, and slamming them all at the same time.
Yeah,
you want to see stuff like that. Adrian Adonis, he's okay.
Yeah,
I think not having Swerve there kind of really hurts. Because he was the one that had that standout offensive moveset.
I feel like Swerve was very obviously, like, I don't say he's the only guy that was, like, worth watching in the ring.
He was unique.
But he was the guy that was different. Yeah. I think they definitely hurt without Swerve. You notice that.
And now I think they have to find their identity inside the ring without Swerve.
Yeah.
Outside the ring, still fun. They could talk in the microphone. They're entertaining. They drop freestyles every Friday. I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah.
So they're keeping you entertained even outside the ring when they're not on TV, which is smart to do, especially now with social media and everything. But
they're not one of the pillars. I think that's the
definitely not one of the pillars.
That's
they were going to be the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
Of the WWE. Who can help run the WWE? Well, not run, but carry the WWE going forward for the next 5 to 10 years. What superstars or young stars do you see, because they're probably not superstars yet, that can carry over the company? First show of the New Year's. How was your New Year? I know you guys like to do it well. Maybe I should introduce you again.
Just
Max
in case.
Whitman.
Max Whitman.
Joining me again on the Wrestling Replay. I am Cato. This is episode, I don't know. I will have to number this later. But first episode of the New Year. What did you guys do?
We didn't do much of anything, actually. We the kids went to bed early.
Nice.
Went to bed at the normal time. Was not going to keep them up till midnight just to watch the ball drop. No, not a chance. So the kids went to bed at their normal bedtime, and I watched the Downton Abbey movie. I watched Downton Abbey movie. I love Downton Abbey. Don't laugh at me. Don't judge me. I'm a man. I do what I want. And I watched the Downton Abbey movie. Downton Abbey, A New Era. Downton Abbey is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It might actually be my favorite TV show of all time.
Really?
Except, of course, for Monday Night Raw. The longest running episodic TV show in television history. No, then I love that. So we watched the Downton Abbey movie, and then we watched the ball drop. My wife and I, and went to bed.
Did you watch any of the the build up to it, like
no.
the show?
No,
like,
I actually no, actually it was like at like 11:58. I noticed what time it was.
Oh,
and I was like, oh shit, we gotta put the ball on, right?
Whole reason.
So like, dude, like I put Channel 7 on, and they were at like 6, 5. I was like, oh shit, we almost missed it. But we got to see it. We did see it. But, no, I watched no build up whatsoever.
So Don Lemon wasn't the main guy. Normally he's the main guy leading up to the ball drop. So this year Don Lemon was in New Orleans. So after the ball drop, they switched over to Don Lemon. Yeah, I know we're not talking wrestling right now, but put up with it. So they switched to New Orleans. And Don Lemon's like, look, I know last year I was drunk. They tried to say I was drunk. I'm not drunk, right? This is just my personality. So I brought my whole family to show you, like, this is my personality. Like, dude, you're drunk now.
You're drunk now.
I can see it.
Dude, they had to ban booze, like, for the hosts. Because, yeah, like, everybody got so sloshed, like, the year before.
Yo, I like it like that. Like,
listen, guys, you have a job to do.
They're humans. Let them get. It's New Year's. Let them get sloshed, man.
They should do that on Monday Night Raw too.
Long they don't
let Michael Cole get hammered.
Who?
Let Michael Cole get hammered at the announce table, and reminisce about his interactions with Heidbrech or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with.
Man.
But yeah, no, I didn't watch any. I didn't see Don Lemon.
Oh man, he was drunk again. I like drunk Don. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, he's got it better than regular Don. I mean,
So yeah, 4 pillars of WWE, right? I did the 4 pillars of AEW last time.
Okay.
For the most part, I mean, my 4 pillars are kind of holding up. MJF became the world champ. Didn't really like how that happened. I didn't like. It could have been so much better. Sometimes I just hate the booking of AEW. But for the most part, everyone really held up. I had to make sure I had this right in, not with a rudeness. But former TNA announcer Don West.
I was wondering what you were googling in here.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't, because I was saying Don Lemon. I was like, yeah, I'm not. It's not Don Lemon. So I wanted to make sure I had his name correctly before I, send out rest in peace to Don West.
Wait, hold on. Wait, was it Don Lemon or Don West that was drunk on TV?
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon
Don
was
West is the announcer.
Don West is the dead wrestling announcer.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
But when I kept saying Don, it made me think about Don West. I'm like, oh snap, he did pass away.
He did.
Yeah, so rest in peace to Don West.
Rest in peace, Don
not
West.
Don Lemon. So
I mean, I'm sure drunk Don West would be enjoyable to hang around with too. I mean, I'm not saying that.
I think a lot of announcers would be really cool to get drunk and hang out with. 'Cause I feel like they got all the juice, all the stories.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Drunk JR, probably either you can't understand a word he's saying or his speech becomes perfully clear. And I can say that because I had Bell's palsy. So I'm allowed
as a victim,
to say that.
you can say.
As a survivor. I'm allowed to say that.
I feel like JR would spill the beans about a lot of stuff if you just got him drunk and like at a restaurant and just
100%.
chopping it up.
100%.
He would spill the beans.
I think he's spilled him sober. I feel like JR has reached a point in his life where he's like actually anxious to spill the beans and just talk shit about people.
On air.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time it was an AEW match, like maybe last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, somebody's going to the top rope. It was like 6 guys off the ring. He's ready to do something crazy off the top. And JR was like, man, I just hate when guys just stand there. Just wait for the guy to jump on them.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? I was
like,
okay,
dude, we're on the air. Yeah, like we're... the match is happening, JR. It's not a podcast. It's live. The show is on. You're on the show.
Like we're listening to you and we're watching him at the same time.
Yeah. Dude. Okay, so pillars here. So
pillars.
I don't think that age necessarily plays a role in being a pillar, right? Like to me, a pillar is like, hey, is this guy gonna be the backbone of this company for like a decade, for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Because I think can he be right? Because I think it's funny with pro wrestling, especially because I think a lot of times we think of pro wrestling in the same way that we think of pro football or baseball or any other pro sport, where like 34, 35 is old, right? And that's not the case in pro wrestling. And I think that
they're probably just hitting their prime.
They're just hitting their prime at 30, right? Bret Hart won at 34 when he won the title, right? Yeah. Shawn was young, HBK was younger, but most of these guys, with the exception of, guys like Randy Orton are the exception to the rule, right? They're not, these young world champs, they're the exception, right? Most of these guys are in their mid-30s or almost 40 before they win that. And I think that we're seeing right now amongst, like, the smart fan, right? Amongst, like, the smarky crowd, right? Is this push to, it's like, oh, well, this guy can't be champion because it takes away a spot from a younger guy. And it's like, oh, we want Braun Breaker. And we want
it now.
We want it now. We want these younger guys, right? Like, hey, we need to make room for these younger wrestlers, right? Who are going to carry the company. When the reality is, I mean, how old is Solo Sikoa? Is he 30? He's got to be 30. I think he's 30, right? Like,
if he's 30, he just scratched 30,
right? But I mean, like, this is a guy who just debuted, right? Like, pro wrestling is not the same as another pro sport, right? It's a work. So it's pull that up. Pull those youngest WWE champions.
Like, would you break it up other sports, right? In other sports, you have bust, right?
Right.
Have there been any young champions that we feel like has been a bust?
Bust? Oh, that's a good question.
The title on too quick. Randy, of course, not a bust.
But I mean, look at these that you're pulling up here. Like the 10th youngest champion of all time.
29.
29?
Yeah.
Like, that's the 10th youngest of all time, right? So the vast majority of guys are in their 30s.
And when you look at these names, I mean, John Cena 27.
John Cena 27, almost 28.
I mean,
when he won that title, right?
Big Show 27, Bruno Sammartino 27. None of these guys were bust. Randy Orton. Wait, Randy was 27.
Orton 26. I bet you Orton. Is that the first time he ever won it, or is it the second time?
Oh man,
I bet he's on here twice.
I'm about to say, hold on, I thought he was like 23. Undertaker, what, 26?
What website? 26. Pop-ups on this website.
Yokozuna, 26. Brock Lesnar
was young at 25.
No, I swore Randy was first.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, none of these guys were
Brock at the youngest at 25 years old, right?
So if anyone that you want to could possibly call a bust would maybe be Yoko, only because he just didn't get his weight.
It wasn't the longevity. He couldn't keep it.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway there when you look at this, okay, so these 10, the youngest champ of all time was 25, almost 26. Yeah. Right? And you look at the names on there. Look at the names that aren't on that list. Right? Triple H, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart,
your greats,
your all-time great Hulk Hogan, right? Like your all-time greats aren't on that list. And I think people, it's too easy to compare it to like an actual pro sport when the fact is this is performance. And guys are hitting their prime at 30. Yeah, there's one at 24. He won the World Heavyweight Championship, didn't he? That's why.
They changed just the title. So, but even still, none of these guys are busts, right? So, point being, when people think of pillars, they're trying to grab the youngest guy you can see, right? The young guy you can find. And that's not always the answer.
Right.
Because you got to look at who's going to usher through these young guys. You want to get rid of your veterans so quick and so early and kind of take that spot. What happens when your veterans... Let's say this happened, right? You start taking your veteran spots, fill them up with young guys. And the ref say, you know what? I don't like the way you're treating your vets. We're going to go. Now you got young guys trying to usher through and put over young guys. It's not going to work.
Doesn't make any sense.
You know? So you got to treat your vets with the respect they deserve. And for one, look at someone like Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho arguably, not even arguably, no. Chris Jericho put over the most people in AEW since the existence of AEW.
Yeah.
He put over Heyman Page. Even in the first matchup with Heyman Page, we're like, wow, he can go over. Jericho did that. He put on Sammy Guevara. He put him on the map. He put Dean Garcia on the map. He just let Ash and Andrade defeat him. I don't even know if that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
He just kind of laid there and let him have the 3 count. So that's your veteran putting over all your young talent that's going to lead the way going forward. If you don't have a Jericho to do that, Moxley's not doing that.
No.
You know?
And that's because, like, you look at it like a lot, like, you know, Mox isn't your... Yeah, he's a veteran.
He's a vet.
But he's not he's in older. His prime. Yeah. He's still in his prime. You know, and whether you're a Moxley fan or not, whether you're a Jericho fan or not, you know, those are guys. Jericho's not his prime, but like Mox is a guy who's in his prime, right? In his 30s, you know, or mid 30s. You know, so I look at a guy that's 35, and I say, yeah, that's a guy who could carry a company for the next 10 years, right? Like that's a guy who absolutely could, under the right circumstances, carry a company for 10 years. You know, let's see, how old is Solo?
Let's see. So
born in 93, so he's 28. No, he's 30.
Almost 30. He'll be 30.
He'll turn 30 this year. So that's kind of my point. This is a guy who's essentially just debuted.
29.
Right? Is really hasn't won a single solo title yet.
Didn't spend much time in NXT.
Right.
And he's even when he won NXT, I feel like they made him get a title right back. I forgot the situation with that, but
yeah. But so is Solo not a pillar because he's 30? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, he could definitely be.
You know, he could be in there.
Yeah. So, all right, if you had to name your first pillar, who would your first pillar be?
This is going to fly, I think, in the face of everything that I just said. And I'm going to say that I think you probably have to put Braun Breaker in as a potential pillar.
Okay.
And it's funny that I could go with Solo Sikoa. But I think that Breaker, from seeing the guy in NXT, and I don't even know how old Braun is right now. 26 maybe?
28.
28? Right, so he's not that young either, actually.
So let's look at it like this, right? Okay, you say Braun Baker. Cool. Amazing talent, looks great. My only gripe with Braun Baker, now I'm going to give you some pushback just for the sake of giving pushback because I love Braun Baker. I feel like we've only really seen him in the ring with guys that he's legitimately supposed to look better than.
Yeah.
How does he look when Braun Baker 25? So how does he look when Braun Baker has to go up against an AJ Styles?
Yeah, you won't know until you see that.
Exactly, or Drew McIntyre, or someone that's supposed to go over. Or possibly could go over.
Right.
Because he's built to look good, and he didn't. I mean, the vet that I can really think of him seeing was with Dolph, and Dolph makes everyone look good.
Dolph makes everybody look good. I think that his stuff looks good, right?
Braun or Dolph?
Braun.
Oh yeah.
I think that Braun's stuff just looks good. I like him on the mic. The charisma is there, right?
He's a perfect Scott and Rick combo.
Yeah, he is. He's very reminiscent of those guys, and I love workers like Breaker, right? Like I don't necessarily. You know, it's funny when WCW was around. Like I enjoyed their cruiserweight division, right, for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate today's cruiserweight style. The styles were a little different, right? Like I don't like, and I think that cruiserweight style, that junior heavyweight style, has sort of bled over into the heavyweight style. We touched on it earlier, talking about Top Dollar trying to go over the top rope, right? Like everyone's trying to do all that stuff. I would actually
fair.
It's not fair.
Undertaker did it.
Undertaker did it.
But
he was already dead.
He almost killed himself.
But he was already dead, so he didn't have to worry about whether he hurt himself or broke his neck.
When he
was already dead
in that match with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, he's
brutal.
Done.
Yeah,
stop doing this.
But stop. But my point is, I like that. I'm not talking like Bruno Sammartino old school, right? But I like the old school style of
that gritty
of wrestling matches that look like fights, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind a botch here or there.
Why I love
not everything in fighting is pretty.
That's why I love FTR.
Yeah, it's that style.
Their style is so like. I know you're gonna hate me for this, but
here we go.
FTR and like Usos, I feel like are the perfect combination of a splash of new school, but you're gonna get 100%. Old school tag team.
100%. I'm cool with that. Yeah, dude, I couldn't care less about the Young Bucks style and what they're doing, and I'm not knocking the Young Bucks. It's just not really for me.
Okay, all right, okay. No, all right, you know what? We'll say that for later. We'll talk about best tag teams later on.
We'll talk about later.
We'll get out.
My point here is,
Braun Baker.
I like Braun. I'm gonna put Braun in there.